Hello and welcome back here to the Forge. And tonight we have the Pokemon World Championship celebration party here at the Forge. We're going to have 3 rounds of exciting Pokemon gameplay that will be happening here tonight. And our players are going to be fighting for some amazing Pop Series 3 packs that have just recently come out. There's some incredible cards, including some of the stamped Radiant Pokemon that are available within these packs. And while we're here tonight, here inside of the store, we're also going to be watching the World's final gameplay. And if you have not gotten a chance to see any of that gameplay after the stream is done, or if you have time at any point throughout the week, I would highly encourage you to go and watch that. I know it is available on YouTube, and what an exciting championship match that we saw between Tord Reklev and Vance Kelly, with Vance taking the whole thing down, of course, with the Mew VMAX, and against Tord's Gardevoir EX deck. And some really awesome innovations that we saw in both of their deck lists, and you get to see those throughout the match as well. So coming up here in just a little bit, we are going to be starting, like I said, the first of 3 rounds that are going to be starting here at the Forge tonight. I will be here commentating. My name is Austin. I'm happy to be here to help provide insight and context as to what we're seeing on the board. And we hope that you stick around and tune in to those matches here in just a little bit. Hello and welcome back to the Forge, and we have round one kicking off for the Pokemon World Championship celebration here tonight. And it looks like we have a fantastic first matchup here. We have Lorelei on the bottom part of the screen versus Corinne on the top part of the screen, and they are sisters. So we have a battle of the ages, sister versus sister, and we also have an iconic matchup here tonight, an Arceus variant versus Mew VMAX. Our Mew VMAX player here is kicking things off.
going first with Meloetta as the starter. Definitely a very threatening Pokemon to have in the active spot, going first or second for Mew VMAX, going against two prize decks such as Arceus, being able to use that Melodious Echo attack to take big turn 1 or turn 2 knockouts, utilizing that single prize Pokemon. That attack does 90 damage or 70 damage times the number of Fusion Strike energy that are in play. However, it looks like despite the Genesect bench here, there seems to be not a whole lot else that Lorelei is going to be able to do here. The attachment comes down onto the Arceus V. Of course, playing Arceus decks, the big thing that you want to be able to see is, 1, can I get an Arceus on board? And 2, can I get an energy attachment onto that Arceus? And I'm sure Corinne is very happy to see that she was in fact able to get that. Looks like searching her deck now, utilizing the Adventurer's Discovery, finding 3 Pokemon V that get to be added to the hand. And we see an Umbreon VMAX. Looks like Duraludon VMAX, and can't quite see what that third Pokemon is. Okay, Umbreon V. I expect that Umbreon V is going to be benched here, being able to threaten some gusting for the next turn. I would have maybe liked to see another Arceus V come down onto the field though, as we know that Melodious Echo attack can be very dangerous. Lorelei though does have a little bit of a slower start. So Corinne may be thinking, I'm not too worried about my Arceus V and the active getting knocked out here. We'll see if that assumption pays off or not. Considering some options in her hand. And we pass things over. The top deck here is a Fusion Strike energy that is going to come down onto the Meloetta. We have a double turbo energy and a Mew VMAX in hand along with that Judge, and the Judge comes down, shuffling both players' hands into the deck, and both players drawing 4 cards to even out the number of cards in hand. This needs to be a big Judge here because for Lorelei, she does not yet have a Mew V down in play. There's only one Genesect in play, and there's not a really good way right now to be able to draw cards, and so this Judge is going to have to be pretty big here, especially considering that Corinne was able to get some significant headway with the opening start. Both players draw, and we do see a Mew V come into the hand of Lorelei here, along with a Feather Ball, and unfortunately that Battle VIP pass is showing up just 1 turn too late. Eyeing that Feather Ball, trying to decide if she wants to grab another Mew V or potentially the VMAX for the next turn. At this point, I like being able to just thin as many cards out of the hand as possible so that you can start drawing with Genesect. I wouldn't be surprised to see that Power Tablet in her hand be played as well. Again, just needing to be able to draw some cards right now to be able to get into the game. Not having that Mew V in play or the ability to attack with Melodious Echo this turn definitely puts the Mew player on the back foot here a little bit. Looks like opting to just take the 2 cards and hold on to that Power Tablet. We see the Cleansing Gloves as well as another Fusion Strike energy come into hand here. Could be useful for next turn, but we're going to see the turn pass. Corinne takes her top deck. I couldn't quite see what it was, but we do see the double turbo attachment onto the active Arceus. Again, as the Arceus player, you love to see this. This means you are definitely going to be getting into the game. Ultra Ball coming down. I'm assuming this is going to be for an Arceus V-Star, being able to utilize that Starbirth V-Star ability to search their deck for any 2 cards. Of course, this has been a powerful ability ever since Arceus V came out in the Brilliant Stars expansion set just a little over a year ago. Corrine shuffling her deck up, potentially suggesting that she's not going to Starbirth immediately here. We do know that, of course, the Umbreon VMAX that was in her hand before had been shuffled back into her deck. I'm not sure if she has access to that right now or not, but being able to utilize Umbreon VMAX here to gust up one of those Mew Vs seems like it could be a very tempting play here, not only going up 2 prizes against Lorelei, but also getting rid of one of those Mew Vs, which of course can evolve into the main threat of the Mew VMAX deck. Looks like maybe opting just to go for a Trinity Nova attack here. I don't hate this either, being able to get rid of that Meloetta certainly, as we know, can be a huge problem, and one Fusion Strike energy that is attached already is going to be going out of the game as well. Starting to load up that benched Duraludon, being able to threaten some serious pressure from the Duraludon VMAX, which has that Skyscraper ability, preventing your opponent's Pokemon with special energy attached to it from being able to damage Duraludon VMAX. Certainly a powerful attacker in this matchup, and can certainly provide a little bit of a headache for the Mew VMAX player, forcing them either to utilize Max Miracle or playing down a Path to the Peak. And it looks like Corrine almost forgot to draw a prize card there, with Lorelei reminding her. Looks like there's some discussion between the players here, trying to determine board state potentially. Unfortunately, the hand of Lorelei here looks a little bit dead right now. Probably gonna, attaching that Fusion Strike energy to the Mew. I would imagine that she's gonna have to burn most of the cards in her hand here. Probably attaching the Cleansing Gloves, which, comes down onto the Genesect. There are 2 Power Tablets in hand, which of course can be a very important damage modifier, but I think right now you probably just have to play those, get rid of them, so that you can draw a couple more cards with Genesect, hopefully being able to find either an Alessa Sparkle or something to be able to start attacking here. Opting only to play 1 and drawing another Power Tablet. We're seeing double visions here as those Power Tablets are just finding their way into the hand. We may just have to see either an energy mix here or potentially a retreat into the benched Mew. It looks like we are seeing an energy mix here. And as Lorelei here, this just cannot feel good here. You're already down a prize here. Your Meloetta has been taken out of the game, which can be an incredible attacker. We see that Duraludon VMAX come down on Corrine's side, and that now is going to be a significant threat that is going to have to be dealt with and respected for the rest of this game. And we still, of course, do not even have any damage on this active Arceus. Definitely a lot of very powerful options here for Corrine to utilize. Being able to just take another knockout here for 2 more prizes definitely is a very easy option. You don't even need to utilize a boss or anything like that, and that is exactly what we see. The Trinity Nova come down. We see some more energy coming into play. Probably going to be powering up that Umbreon V on the bench. And the Umbreon VMAX, when without the double turbo energy attached to it, like we're about to see here, of course, can one-hit knockout a Mew VMAX due to weakness. It attacks for 160 damage, and unless the Mew VMAX player has an Oricorio in play, that is going to be a knocked out Mew VMAX. So Lorelei in a very desperate position here, and the top deck is unfortunately not going to do much. Drawing a double turbo energy, we can see potentially a psychic leap here, but that isn't going to be very, very insignificant, unfortunately, in the grand scheme of things. And we see a retreat into the Genesect V. There is the option that if she chooses to play down all of her power tablets and attach the energy, she could draw one card off of Genesect V, but it is hard to say whether that one card is going to be impactful at this point at all. Certainly a significant amount of desperation here. Yep, and we see those power tablets come down, and we do see Genesect V's ability. Single strike system is going to draw one card here, and it's an escape rope. It is not going to be enough. It's not, unfortunately, going to be impactful right now at all. Sadly, those power tablets just kept coming into the hand, and Lorelei was just not able to, unfortunately, draw cards, which is usually what Mew VMAX is most well known for, is utilizing those Genesect V abilities to just draw and draw and draw. And now on Corinne's side, we see that Umbreon VMAX come down, gusting up the Mew V with its ability. And this is going to be another knocked out Mew V here, going down just to one prize card on Corinne's side of the field. And that, of course, is going to be something that this Duraludon V Max on the bench is going to easily be able to take care of against a Genesect V. Judge does come down, so there is going to be a fresh hand. Seeing that Mew VMAX come into hand just one turn too late, unfortunately, for Lorelei. And I believe here that was the Trinity Nova attack. Corinne shuffling her deck up, opting not to attach any energies here. And there is that knockout there. Corinne going down to 2 prizes remaining, having to promote this Genesect here, having Mew VMAX in hand, but no way to be able to get it into play. The top deck is a Battle VIP pass. Unfortunately, not a card that is going to be able to be played here, and this hand is about as dead as you could possibly get from a Mew player here. And I'm sure this is going to have to just be a pass here. And that is what we see. The top deck comes over for Corinne, and simply retreating here and attacking with Duraludon VMAX is going to seal the game. And that is exactly what we see. Gmax Pulverization being declared for that final prize card taken, and in our round 1 we have a decisive victory here from Corinne. Sister versus sister, defeating Lorelei. As we saw here, the power of Arceus V-Star being able to just get your deck so well set up right away from the beginning of the game. And unfortunately for Lorelei, she was just not able to get into finding any VIP passes or really any of the cards that she was hoping to be able to see to start developing a board state, to start threatening KOs. And we can see that in this matchup, it can really, you know, both decks have very strong potential against the other, but in this case, that pressure from Arceus ultimately won out. Thank you all for tuning in here, and our round 2 will begin here in about probably 15 minutes or so. So please stick around, and we'll have round 2 streaming here in just a little bit for you. Welcome back, and here in the studio with me we have Corinne after her victory over her sister. And Corinne, thank you for coming back here and interviewing us a little bit, or being able to have you be interviewed with us. And after that win against your sister, what was it like to know that in your opening hand you were able to start off with the Arceus V, get that attachment down, and on your sister's side of the field, there was only the Genesect V and the Meloetta in the active. Were you feeling pretty excited at that point that you felt like you had a good chance at a victory here in this game?
Yeah, because all the other times I played her with Mew deck, she would always beat me, so I got excited that I actually beat her.
That's awesome. Yeah, usually, of course, when you're playing against Mew VMAX, oftentimes they're able to draw so many cards in the beginning that they get their board set up really easily, and we just didn't see that happen this time. And so being able to get into that game and put so much pressure on with the Arceus V-Star and the Umbreon VMAX on the bench and the Duraludon VMAX on the bench as well, that was really awesome to see. What do you have any dreams or aspirations for the upcoming season here this year?
Not really, I'm just trying my best and pretty new, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah, just attending events and being able to play, and honestly, it's just a lot of fun to play, and it's really cool that you and your sister are both playing together as well, and being able to have a practice partner at home, and I'm sure being able to learn from one another as well as you play as well. Well, Corinne, thank you so much for coming back here and interviewing with us, and we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the rounds here today, and it's good to see you, so take care.
Thank you, you too.
And welcome back here to the Forge for the Pokemon World Championship celebration matches here tonight. And we have our round 2 that is just about to be starting up here. Our players have drawn their opening hands and are starting to set their prize cards up. And this is going to be a really interesting matchup. We have one of the new decks that is coming out here in the Obsidian Flames format, the Charizard EX, the terrestrialized Charizard versus Lost Tina. And this is a matchup that I have not gotten a chance to see very much what some of the play and counterplay is, although I would imagine that this matchup for the Lost Tina player is going to feel fairly similar to how they would try to approach, say, a Gardevoir EX matchup, being able to try and pin down some of those basic Pokemon before they evolve, and some of those lower HP Pokemon like the Charmander or potentially the Pidgey, being able to ping those down with the Sableyes, and then also being able to soften up those Charizard EXs with the Sableyes to be able to take those big one-hit KOs then with the Giratina V-Star. And for Charizard, I know that, of course, the game plan is to get at least 2 Charizards into play. They have that ability that allows the energy acceleration to start getting those fire type energies from the deck onto the board, being able to take 3 of those, attaching them in any way that they like. Oftentimes paired with Pidgeot EX, which is a little bit like a miniature Arceus every turn, being able to search your deck for any one card and add it to your hand. And so this is going to be definitely an exciting matchup. And we have 2 Comfies in play to start the game off, as well as 2 Giratina Vs coming down onto the bench. And we do have a pass over with just 1 in the loss zone. So we are going to have to do quite a bit of work here next turn to try and get any kind of attack off. Although it looks like potentially a slower start here with just an attachment to Charmander and a boss to try and stall. However, one of the strengths, of course, of Giratina V is being able to utilize its first attack to get more cards into the loss zone, as well as further setting up yourself. And of course, we know that even if there is a rare candy play that happens next turn, being able to get a Charizard into play, there is not going to be a threat of a knockout on this Giratina V next turn, as it's only going to be doing 180 damage. The damage ramping will not begin until some prize cards have been taken. Some consideration here as to what is going to be taken.
There is very much a world here where this Charmander could go get that. There could be an OHKO on this Charmander, and this just could be game.
Right. That is certainly a possibility. With 2 more cards coming into the loss zone here, any kind of pivoting off option into a Comfey could mean that Cramorant just seals the deal here.
Yep.
We do see an escape rope.
See if Michael can pull it together here.
That's right. And we do see the energy attachment in hand that is going to be possible. VP pass is going to be an easy decision to send to the loss zone. Not sure if we have a way to actually get into the Cramorant here, but we're going to go into another Comfey. A little bit of a tough choice here, opting to take the... I'm forgetting the name of that card. The
switch card.
The switch card. There we go. Sending one of those Comfey to the loss zone.
Doesn't look like he'll have it this turn.
No.
He'll have that first Tina online.
Absolutely. Getting those set up. And we do see the pass here. Top deck into an Arceus Star. It's unfortunate that he wasn't able to get an Arceus V onto the bench during his first turn. Otherwise, that would have been an amazing top deck.
That would have been a huge play for him.
Really struggling here, though, with just the 1 Charizard in play.
Looks like it'll just be that knock for 1.
And certainly taking a prize card here is better than nothing. But there is a lot more that the Charizard EX player here is going to be hoping to be able to accomplish on their turns. And we see another flower selecting.
That always hurts to see.
Absolutely. Although it's an easy choice, looking at two of the same card, they're not really two cards that you want to be seeing at this point. Ideally, you want to be saving those energies and keeping them, at least a lot of them, in the deck so that you can utilize the powerful effect of the Mirage Gate to just directly attach those.
Right into that Chloris. Looks, ooh, he can make a play this turn.
Jet Energy being able to move the
But he-
EX right into the active.
He did attach return.
That's true. I forgot about
So
that.
he's not going to be able to utilize that comfy that he just pulled.
Building up that lost zone. We could see here if there's no more Pokemon that are able to get onto the bench here of our Charizard player.
He's got that cart in hand.
Ooh.
He's at least going to hit 9 in Lost Zone right here. If he can make something happen, he could potentially start Requiem this turn and just wrap this up.
That's true. That would certainly be an unfortunate end to this game.
There's the Mirage Gate too.
Oh
So
yeah,
he'll be able to swing in with the Tina right here.
this could be huge. Yep, just double checking and confirming that there is in fact 9 in the lost zone. Trying to figure out if there's any way that they can hit that magic number 10, but throwing that path to the peak down in play, preventing any other abilities of Rulebox Pokemon. Oh, unfortunately, not being able to utilize the Greninja's ability here because Path to the Peak is in play. What looked like maybe a glimmer of hope to be able to get more into the game is just shut down because of that stadium.
There's not a lot going on in that hand.
No, there really isn't.
I like the call to just have left that comfy and be active just to be able to get that 10th. And there it is.
And we are likely going to be seeing, almost guaranteed to be seeing a Star Requiem here for an easy 2 prizes.
Joaquim's going to need a lot to come out of this. I don't know how you recover from this unless he finds... No, there's
Yeah.
really not a lot in that Charizard deck that's going to pull him out of this.
I don't think so, because at this point, even trying to bench more Charmanders is just an even bigger liability, as they have just 60 HP. So even if you bench multiple Charmanders here, that just opens up the door for a Sableye to be able to sweep in and start doing what Sableye does. Of course, 60 HP being exactly half of 12.
I think we're going to see that Jet Energy for turn right into the Requiem.
That would certainly make sense. I wonder if there's any other available resources to try and preemptively get a Sableye or anything like that down, but honestly, at this point, you don't really need it. You're going to be so far ahead.
And he's sitting on a pretty solid hand. He can just jet up. He's got energy in hand for next turn to be able to go ahead and swing with and give up those couple energy to the Lost Zone.
Exactly. Potentially an option that...
Yep,
that
there it is.
There it is, yep. That Star Requiem for the knockout, and... Okay, we do get a Professor's Research, so we are going to see a fresh hand of 7. We'll see if there's anything that could potentially bail Joaquim out here.
He's going to be able to get that double Pidgey if he goes for it.
Just thinking about it.
A little risky, but he needs something to be able to get rid of that.
Ooh, just a pass here. That does just open up the door for that Sableye.
I think he's got it in hand too.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, there's that Sableye in hand.
I would have liked to see that Pidgey be benched just so that there's at least something that that you're going to have on board still, even if a Sableye is able to come down. But
and there's the gate.
Yep.
I think if I was setting across the table, I think that would be the point where it's just an easy scoop. Yeah, there's
the scoop. Well, that is certainly not exactly the game that we were thinking we were going to be seeing here, with a very, very dominant performance by Michael here. And unfortunately, the reality of some of these decks that require that immense amount of setup, that have to utilize VIP to really get into the game, this is the risk that you run, is that there are a lot of moving pieces, and sometimes you just don't see what you need to be able to see.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Sometimes those explosive turns that you need at the start just don't happen, and you're left with that one Zard where you're stuck. It's an easy knockout against some of these lost zone decks.
Absolutely. And of course, Giratina V-Star showing just how powerful that Star Requiem attack is. Being able to look at any Pokemon your opponent has in play and say, you know, I don't really care how much HP you have. I don't care if you have 330 HP. I'm just going to turn the button. I'm just going to click Star Requiem and take those prize cards.
Correct.
Very, very powerful. And certainly, as we saw at the World's Championship this year, there were 2 Giratina V-Star Lost Zone decks in the mix, and none of them were able to make it into finals, but further proving that this deck definitely has some legs and is not a joke.
No, it's still going to be around for a while too. A lot of those cards are going to be around for at least 2 more rotations.
That's right. We are going to continue to see more flowers being selected. We are going to see more Lost Mine attacks, and of course, more Star Requiems as well. Well, thank you for tuning in. We will hopefully have a winner's interview here in just a little bit, so stick around. And we are back here with Michael after a very dominant victory over Joaquim. And Michael, how are you feeling after that victory?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I really want to test out that matchup of Lostina versus Charizard, because I think Charizard's going to be really good. Unfortunately, he bricked really hard, and we take those, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't see much of a game. We saw that Charmander opening and no other bench Pokemon come down. And what was going through your mind at that point? Were you thinking, is there any way I can get to Cramorant, or were you trying to take a little bit of a slower approach? Describe kind of the thought process that you had.
Oh, I was super digging for Cramorant. As soon as I see the Charmander there attached pass, I'm like, okay, I've got 2 Comfies. I can get Cramorant, and then I'll just knock him out. Close this out, easy peasy. And then I ended up lost owning a Super Rod trying to do that, and it scared me when I didn't get the Cramorant, because I was like, oh no, if he gets set up now, I am down a Super Rod, and this is not good, because I need to recycle my energy so I can do the Lost Impact and whatever play, because he's going to knock me out in return. And so I got a little scared when I missed the Cramorant, but he kept bricking, so it worked out.
Right, everything ended up working out in the end. And yeah, that Giratina V-Star showing the power of that Star Requiem attack, just saying, I don't care how much HP you have. You may have 330 hit points, but I'm just going to use my V-Star ability to take you out anyway, right?
Yeah, because the prize map, when we sat down and I saw the Charmander, I was like, okay, my prize map here is simple. I Lost Impact his Pidgeot, I'll Star Requiem his Charizard, and then I'll either pick up 1 prizes with Sableye, or I'll Lost Impact the Arceus if he plays it. and then that would be my ticket to win the game. Unfortunately, didn't get to actually test out that prize mapping, but that was roughly the strategy. I think Lost Tina is going to be fine in the upcoming format just because Star Requiem is nuts.
Right. Yeah, certainly super powerful. And, you know, that magic 280 damage, even without utilizing the Star Requiem attack, is an incredible number to be hitting. And even if that does fall a little bit short, you, of course, have the Sableye to be able to make up for that damage. And I would agree. I think Lost Tina is probably going to be a deck that will continue to be very powerful moving into the next format. And as long as there are more evolution decks that are going to become more and more popular, it's interesting as well because Sableye, I think, is only going to become an even more powerful Pokemon than it already has been. And Sableye, as we know, has been extremely dominant in so many versions of Lost Zone decks as well.
Yeah, you saw at the end of that match, he finally got 2 Pidgeys and Charmander out, but by then I had 10 Lost Zone. I threw down Sableye and he was like, okay. He saw I had the way to get Sableye active and he was like, okay, I guess I just concede 'cause your Sableye's gonna knock out both my Pidgey and my Charmander because they have 60 HP. There's no 70 HP Charmander and there's no 70 HP Pidgey, which is actually huge. I don't know for sure if there's one in the 151 set that's coming up, but for now, Sableye is gonna have a great time with all these new decks.
Absolutely. Well, Michael, do you have any plans or goals for this future season that's going to be coming up? Planning on going to any regionals or anything?
I want to go to Worlds. Working on finding travel group and such for doing that, and then because I have friends who live way out of state who are also extremely good at this game, and I want to be as good as them at some point. But for now, goal is to let's win a League Cup, and then let's maybe day 2 regional, and then we'll figure out Worlds from there.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. It's certainly for us North American players, the threshold of being able to get to Worlds has been increased from 500 points up to 600 points, but there is also the added benefit of if anyone wins a regional championship, that is a guaranteed invite to the World Championships as well.
Yeah.
And so that may be a really big deal for some of us players. And yeah, I wish you the best of luck in getting a League Cup win. And of course, yeah, like you said, that goal of being able to get a couple of day 2 regionals as well.
Definitely. Thank you.
Michael, thank you for coming back with us here.
Thank you for having me.
And we are back here at the Forge for our World Championship Celebration games. Round 3 is just about to start here, and we have our players Oscar and Nick, who are just arriving here to the table. They're going to be getting their decks set up, and we have a really exciting battle here that is going to be happening. Oscar piloting the Gardevoir EX deck, and Nick piloting the Mew VMAX deck. And as we know, this is actually exactly what the finals of the World Championships are. And so I'm really excited to see this game and to see what happens. Maybe if the outcome is going to be similar to what we saw during the World Championships, or if things maybe can be a little bit different. Both of these decks, of course, incredibly dynamic. Lots of extremely interesting lines of play. There are many things that both of these players are going to need to be watching out for and paying attention to as their opponents are further getting set up. Of course, one of the most detrimental things for the Gardevoir player is to be going second while also starting a Zacian, so we hope that we aren't going to be seeing that. And the Mew deck, of course, being so aggressive, being able to take prize cards sometimes as early as turn 1 if they end up going second, utilizing that Meloetta with Melodious Echo, doing 70 damage times the number of Fusion Strike energies that are in play. Gardevoir oftentimes is not going to be taking any prize cards until the Mew player has already taken 2, unless the Gardevoir player gets a really big rare candy play off and potentially is taking 2 prizes with their Gardevoir EX if they ended up going second on their turn 2. And we have both players here just shuffling up their cards, making sure that their decks are fully randomized. Oscar just doing a couple last mashes here, and we see some plushies on Oscar's side. Love to see those. We got the Jirachi, the Genesect, and man, is that I can't quite tell if that's maybe a Trico, I think, but it's a little bit tough to...
Smoliv.
Oh, that's what it is, a
Yeah.
Smoliv. Well, I love that pick there. That's definitely a good choice. And it looks like we have both players have shuffled up, and they are cutting one another's decks. Always cut your opponent's deck if you have the opportunity. Make sure that all players are being completely honest and truthful. And I'm excited to see what these 7 cards of both players' hands are going to have.
Oh, I see the reversal in that hand.
Yeah, 1 reversal for sure in the Gardevoir list. Of course, we saw with Tord's list, he was opting to play the 2 reversal energy counts. All right, it looks like we have a mulligan here from Nick. Sometimes giving Gardevoir another extra card, that just might mean drawing into another battle VIP pass, and it looks like Oscar's hand...
Pretty good.
It does look pretty good. It also depends a little bit on whether Oscar is going first or second. I didn't quite see what the coin flip was, so I'll be interested to see what that, which player goes first here.
I see a fairly spicy card there in Oscar's hand with that Lost City.
I was just going to say, I think I see a Lost City in Oscar's hand, which a very interesting pick to be in a Gardevoir list. I would be very curious to hear more from Oscar as to what the reasoning is behind that. Certainly, that's a card that, if he plays it at the wrong time, can backfire on him very, very negatively.
I don't think we'll see much of that Lost City this game.
Yeah.
In a Mew match, I don't see him playing that right away.
Right.
Mew doesn't really have much recovery.
No, it doesn't. If it does have any recovery, it tends to be Silene, but even if he does play a Silene, trying to recover Pokemon usually isn't the target of those Silene coin flip heads if you are able to get them. It does look like Oscar is going to be going first, utilizing a level ball and finding that Mew, probably trying to dig for a VIP pass here. I know he does have energy in hand, so he can get that pivot off. It looks like Oscar just reminding Nick to make sure that his prizes are out, which is a good catch. That, of course, is a pretty serious penalty in competitive play if you forget to put your prize cards out and then draw even a turn draw.
That's
Be very
that's at a
serious.
minimum a 2-card penalty right there.
And we see this mysterious tail coming off of the Mew. Its tail is indeed mysterious.
It
Would
is.
love to find out what makes it so mysterious,
And
but
he missed.
huge whiff there off of the Mew. You've got to be wondering right now how Oscar is trying to think about how he can pivot out of this in this situation with just one Ralts in play. I'm not sure if he plays a Mirage Step Curlia or not.
I see the double Curlia in hand. And
Looks
just
like
the pass.
Just the pass, yep. And we'll see what Nick is able to respond with.
It could get really spicy here. Going second, he does have the option for that Meloetta.
Absolutely. Being able to put some significant pressure with that Meloetta, and all that really is necessary here is not even a boss. Just
a
an
rope.
escape rope is going to put Oscar in a really, really difficult spot here. Can't quite see what all is in Nick's hand, so I'm not sure.
I did see a switch cart. I see the cram.
Okay, we see a cram come down, deciding what is going to be potentially transformed into what I would guess is a VIP if
It's
it
just a
gets
switch.
heads.
It's just a switch.
Okay. Mew VMAX, of course, famously sometimes lives and dies by the Cram-O-Matic's heads or tails, and
And a tails.
we see that tails. There's going to be a little bit of a scramble potentially to try and figure out now what to do with just a Genesect in the active.
Oh, there's that Forest Seal. This would definitely be the turn to pop that, get that VIP, at least get yourself established.
Absolutely. Yeah, if he... Oh,
Oh,
interestingly, choosing to pass here. I will be honest here, I do not like that at all. I would
No.
have really liked to see a VIP pass got taken from the Forest Seal Stone. I'm not really sure what the thinking is as to why he wouldn't have utilized that. I feel like this gives Oscar a pretty big opportunity to get into this game.
It was a huge missed opportunity there. There was a world, if he would have drawn right, where Oscar could have went for the straight into an EX
Right.
and take the Oko and just wrap this game up.
Right. And that is dangerous. Very, very dangerous, because we already know he's got that Mew in the active. And so being able to find a rare candy or an Ultra Ball, whichever piece was missing, certainly well within the possibility of reason that we could have seen that. But that research coming down and giving Oscar a fresh new hand. We did see, of course, those battle VIPs coming into his hand, unfortunately, at the wrong time.
Turn too late.
I'm sure he would have loved to see those last turn, but it does look like that there is, he's getting some more established board presence. Mew here probably going to be trying to find another way to get another Ralts in play.
That's the second whiff.
I will have to be honest here, I have never seen a Mew whiff 2 times in a row. I can't imagine what the luck is on that. Certainly very low odds when a deck like Gardevoir EX plays so many item cards.
There's so many targets that thing can hit.
Even at this point, finding another VIP pass just to be able to discard with, say, an Ultra Ball isn't the worst thing in the world.
Right. I don't know if I like giving up that Super Rod this early.
Yeah, it's tough. I think, I can't remember what all was in his hand, but I believe he did have potentially another Pokemon that he could have chosen to discard instead to
He
make
had
you.
He had the EX in hand. He could
Okay.
have dumped the EX and utilized that Super Rod to throw it right back in the deck.
Interesting. Opting to play that Pal Pad, getting 2 Ionos back into the deck, and ending his turn with Roar of the Sword, attaching a Psychic Energy onto that Zacian.
Definitely opting for the slower setup. Just make sure you're established.
Right.
Knowing that Mew can turn the Jets right back on.
Absolutely. And we'll see if that is what ends up happening here. With only a Genesect in play, it is very difficult to know what we're about to see here. The top deck comes for Nick, and taking a moment to decide what his first move is going to be. I think here he's got to be thinking, I've got to get at least one Mew V into play. But realistically, he's probably got to get two Mew Vs into play because Oscar is starting to develop a board here, and there is absolutely a world where a boss's orders onto a lone Mew V is just going to mean that this game is going to continue to steamroll for Oscar.
At a bare minimum, I feel like in order for him to come up back from that slow start is at least two Mews and one more Genesect just to be able to start that draw engine.
Right. Mew VMAX, of course, being one of those decks that says, I'm gonna just draw cards. And unfortunately, in this game so far, we haven't seen Mew draw a single card outside of the turn draws. I'm not sure if I've ever seen anything quite like it before. And it looks,
especially not with the start with the Sealstone.
Exactly.
I really want to know what was going through his mind there by just the pass instead of utilizing it for that VIP.
absolutely. Very curious to know what the thought process was there. And looks like he did pop the Forest Sealstone. I believe that card to the left of his hand there was the selection. And an Iono is going to come down. Both players are going to shuffle their hands, put them on the bottom of their deck, and at this point they are both going to be drawing 6 cards here.
That's scary, giving Guardy a brand new fresh hand, knowing that it was only setting on 2 or 3.
Right. And also at the same time, Nick probably was working with a dead hand there, knowing that I have got to be getting some fresh cards here.
There we go.
And there we go. We do have a Mew V down and a Nest Ball coming down. We'll see if this is going to be, yep, for another Genesect. So hopefully here, the idea I'm sure is going to be, I'm going to just try and draw as many cards as possible. Hopefully I can draw into either an Ultra Ball or more Nest Balls to be able to get that bench space filled up, and also at the same time eliminating my own hand size so I can continue to draw cards.
I don't know if you saw it, but there is a boss over there in Oscar's hand.
Oh,
It's
you're right.
there.
And there is already 3 energy in the discard, which means we very well might be seeing a dead Mew V here next turn. And unless Nick can get another one down, things might be looking pretty scary.
Ooh, and he just set that up as even a higher target with that choice belt.
Very interesting. Nick taking a moment to consider more options.
He needed to play it down just to thin the hand a little bit there so he could draw some more cards, but that's scary. I don't know how I would be feeling in his shoes right there.
I agree. I think I'd be feeling very nervous right now. You see the escape rope come down. Oscar opting to send the Zacian into the active. Of course, he knows that Zacian is going to be safe. There is no threat of a Meloetta attack here, and there is no Mew VMAX in play that is going to be able to knock this Zacian out this turn.
Does look like we get that third Genesect, so we're gonna be drawing some cards this turn.
Absolutely. Nick probably considering how to get his hand size back down again. Oh, it looks like Nick passes here.
Oh no.
I do not. I don't know. I think probably pivoting that Mew back onto the bench probably was the way to go here.
Give up a Genesect.
Right. We know Oscar has enough energy in the discard pile right now that all he needs is the Gardevoir EX here, and he's going to be able to knock this Mew V out. And next turn, there is not going to be hardly any pressure outside of a Hail Mary Meloetta play, and I'm not sure if that's going to be a possibility.
I don't know. I don't think that even with the Meloetta play, giving up that single prizer, you would need to at least bench 2 Mews just to have the recovery options later.
Absolutely. Oscar getting his deck shuffled up. We know that he had an EX in hand that did get shuffled onto the bottom of his deck from that Iono from Nick last turn. And he has already opted to use both Radiant Greninja and that first refinement. Can't quite tell what all is in his hand. I think I see an Ultra Ball in there, but it's a little difficult to tell.
Is that a seal stone on the top?
It might be.
Is it the sky? It is the sky. It's not the forest.
Okay. Okay.
This could be big.
Well, unfortunately here... Oh, he got double energy. That means an attachment from hand is going to mean
That's
that this
enough.
is a knockout. And
That's
he
enough.
has it. Unbelievable. Unfortunately, he did whiff the Gardevoir EX, but it didn't matter.
No.
He was able to get the 2 energy off of Shining Arcana, and Oscar, I'm sure, was feeling so disappointed at first that he wasn't going to be able to take a knockout, and then as soon as he revealed those top 2 cards, immediately realized, wait a minute, we are still cooking here.
That turn went from a very slow turn to putting the jets on right away.
Absolutely. I mean, the power of Shining Arcana Gardevoir just being so well highlighted there, being able to accelerate energy out of absolutely nowhere, being able to make plays happen that otherwise just wouldn't be possible.
What's he bossing here?
Looks like the Radiant Greninja trying to just slow Oscar down as much as he can right now. He's going to have to try and establish at least one more Mew V here.
I did see the Ultra Ball come out of there, so he's going to be able to draw a few more cards.
Okay.
At least establish one Mew here. But he does need 2 in order to...
And the Fusion Energy coming down onto the Genesect.
I don't know if I like that. I think
Yeah.
that the target would have been better on the bench.
It probably would have. The one good thing, of course, with the Fusion Energy on the Genesect is it does protect against the Spiritomb, but I'm not sure actually if Oscar plays the Spiritomb or not.
I think I saw it in his opening hand earlier,
Okay,
but I think he was saving that for maybe a later play,
sure.
just so he doesn't shut off his own Zacian right away.
Right. And the Ultra Ball does come down. My guess is to try and find a Mew V here. And Nick definitely going to need to be drawing quite a few more cards here to scramble together some kind of option here. It's looking like this turn is probably going to end in another pass, but if he can get more Mews established, he'll at least have some options to be able to start attacking next turn, which he desperately needs at this point.
He's gonna at least need one modifier next turn if he can get it,
Right. I'll tell you what,
because that is a fresh Zacian.
absolutely. And I can tell you from experience as a Gardevoir EX player, being 2 prizes up on Mew right away at the beginning of the game feels very, very good. And
You see the Meloetta.
Meloetta comes down and the Cramormatic.
But it's a fail.
It is another fail, sadly. Though it did touch Oscar's hand. I think they maybe had to discuss whether that was going to be considered a valid roll or not.
I think that was the pass right there.
Yep. And the top deck is a Fog Crystal.
With another one left in the hand.
That's right. So if he wants, he can both utilize Radiant Greninja's draw as well as a guaranteed pivot to get back into that Zacian.
There'll be the second one. And I think he's just gonna take another energy off of this.
Yeah. Oscar's always grabbing a Ralts here. Okay. Maybe he had another energy in hand that I didn't notice.
I think maybe he goes for the... Does he go for a memory skip play? Or does he just go for the knock?
I think if I were Oscar here, I would just be going for that knockout. Taking another 2 prizes without having to utilize a boss
Right.
means that simply a boss's orders wins the game for the next turn.
Curious choice giving up the Sky Seal, because that could, have been a win condition. If he wanted to play slow, he could have goaded Nick into playing that Mew VMAX
Right.
and then taking it for 4.
Right. And it looks like he is choosing to boss up that Mew V. And of course, that means that he's going to have to be relying on Meloetta next turn.
That's a large ask. He's going to need 1 fusion plus the Alessas all in a turn.
Right. There is 1 fusion energy that is already in play. We're not entirely sure how many have been prized, if any.
One day.
One day.
One day.
One day we'll have the prize cam to be able to confirm that for sure. But we do have knockout here without needing to attach any more energy. And Oscar goes down to 2 prizes.
Ooh, there was a draw before promotion.
Ooh.
Let me go resolve. That actually... I'll go resolve, but that
Sure.
is gonna be a game loss.
Ooh, okay. Unfortunately, mistakes like that can end up being pretty significant, sadly. Want to make sure that you always are being very vigilant, making sure to promote your active Pokemon before you draw for your turn. And looks like players are just discussing that with our judge here. But always making sure to promote a Pokemon before drawing for turn. Otherwise, as was mentioned here, it is a 2 prize penalty. And Oscar's going to take this game because of that penalty, but also, truthfully, I think that Oscar had this game pretty much wrapped up anyway. And definitely, it's tough to see when your opponent can't quite get set up in the way that they need to be able to get into the game. But Oscar certainly showing the power of this Gardevoir EX deck, and especially with that play, being able to get those 2 energy off of that Shining Arcana, leading to that knockout was huge, because whiffing the Gardevoir EX there certainly would have just slowed that game down even more and given Nick even more opportunity to be able to get into the game. But we have a conclusive finish here with Oscar taking the win. And in just a little bit here, we will bring him back into the studio to talk about that game and any of his aspirations for the rest of this season. Thank you for tuning in. And we're back, and in the studio with us we have Oscar here after his win against Nick. Oscar, how are you feeling here?
I'm feeling pretty good. The Gardevoir deck is a good one.
Absolutely. As a Gardevoir pilot myself, I absolutely would agree with you. I think it's a fantastic deck, a lot of fun to play, a lot of skill expression that can be utilized throughout the games and in all the various matches. And Oscar, there's a few key moments I wanted to talk about with you after that game. The first one, of course, was how did it feel to be able to, you whiffed the Gardevoir EX there. I believe it was on your turn
Yes,
3.
he Iono'd. I had Rare Candy Gardevoir in my hand, I think, and then he Iono'd me to the bottom.
Right.
So I was kind of searching for it, but couldn't find it exactly.
Couldn't find it.
So I wasn't even expecting to be able to really attack that churn. But fortunately, I got the other Gardevoir, the smaller Gardevoir, and it got me 2 energies off the top of the deck.
Exactly.
So
ripped that Shining Arcana ability, 2 energies right onto the
that's
Zacian
the best
there.
feeling right there.
Absolutely. That was a huge tempo swing, especially after that huge miss of not being able to find the Gardevoir EX.
Yeah,
there.
exactly. And I think my opponent may be, he was a little inexperienced with the deck, so he couldn't really get set up very fast. So just knocking out the Muse really quickly, and yeah, getting the 2 energies on top, that kind of just sealed the deal there, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. As I was watching the game, I was a little bit surprised for Nick. He was able to attach that Forest Seal Stone to his
Right.
Genesect V on turn 1, but chose not to utilize Genesect V's ability for a VIP pass, which was surprising.
I was very shocked by that, and also later on there was a churn where I think he had 3 Genesects out, but he only chose to use one of the abilities when he could have used it another once or twice even.
Interesting. I couldn't quite tell how many cards were in his hand. I thought maybe that was a situation where his hand had gotten clogged, but it sounds like maybe there
Yeah,
could
he
have been a
said-
possibility to even draw more.
I think he had only 2 cards in his hand, so he could have drawn probably another 2 cards
Yeah.
at minimum, but I think he said at the end of the game that he kind of just forgot about it. So, yep.
Yeah, well, that's tough, and certainly, you know, players who are playing from every experience level, there's always something that can be learned, and there are ways where we can continue to grow and help one another grow as well. And being able to come to events like this just to play and to practice and
Right.
learn that sequencing and play against opponents of various skill levels as well is really important.
Right, so coming to your local league to play, and it's not only a fun exercise and play with your friends, it's also to learn how to get better at the game as well, and then win those sweet prizes.
Absolutely. And Oscar, before we go, do you have any goals or aspirations for this season ahead?
Well, this season, if I have the time to play as much as I can, hopefully I can maybe win a cup, or maybe even make it to the day 2 of a regionals. That would be a nice goal for this season.
Absolutely. Well, Oscar, we absolutely wish you the best in that for a cup victory and for hopefully at least one day 2 at a regional. And thanks for coming back. It was great to talk with you.
It was great talking to you too. Thank you.
And we are back live here at the Forge with the Pokemon World Championship Celebration Games. And we have our final round 4 that is just about to start here. Players are shuffling up their decks. On the bottom of the screen, we have Oscar, who was also just on stream here last round. And we also have Joachim, who is piloting a Charizard deck here, who I believe we also saw on stream earlier as well. Both of these players are going to be showing us the best of what they have. It is going to be a Gardevoir versus Charizard for the finals here. And this is a very interesting matchup because, of course, Charizard, being that dark type, is able to hit Gardevoir EX for weakness. And there's going to be a lot of interesting counterplay and trying to figure out how Oscar is going to be able to take those knockouts without having too much liability with those Gardevoir EXs being in play. Probably going to be utilizing the baby Gardevoir with Shining Arcana quite a bit in this matchup. Oscar did have a mulligan, giving one more card to Joachim.
That's a big hand on Joachim. Double pass over there.
Double, yeah.
Is it 3?
It might be 3, which is absolutely insane.
He can't use them all.
No, certainly a very different start than what we had seen from this deck earlier today. And this is going to be a very interesting game, as it looks like both players are probably going to be getting very well set up. Between the two of them, we're already seeing at least 3 VIP passes in hand, potentially 4.
This is going to be a very fast setup.
Absolutely. And both of these decks are setup decks. They need to be getting all those basic Pokemon into play as soon as they possibly can.
And that Arceus.
We see that Arceus V come down, being able to utilize that Starbirth ability to further just get set up in such a powerful way. Sometimes the Starbirth is utilized simply just to get Pidgeot EX into play.
Did I see the V-Star come into hand?
I didn't quite catch that, but I would believe it if that was the case. And the VIP coming down from Oscar. Grabbing Radiant Greninja, looks like, and probably a Ralts, maybe a Mew.
I think he's going to do what Guardy does best, and he's just going to draw some cards.
Absolutely. Oh, I see, and he played the level ball as well. So grabbing that Radiant Greninja, the Mew, and a Ralts. There's no energy in hand at the moment, but I'm sure he's going to be playing.
There's the Zacian.
Zacian comes down.
I feel like, yep, that's the right play right there.
Trying to dig for an energy here.
There was so many chances that he had that V-Star in hand.
Absolutely. Yeah, being able to get Joachim's hand onto the bottom of the deck, just kind of resetting this game in some ways. And Oscar does find an energy and a Fog Crystal, so he will be able to utilize both Mew and Radiant Greninja here this turn.
Do you think he goes for the play of Collapsed on turn 1? Just to reduce the Charmanders?
That would certainly be an option. I am not 100% sure what the right call would be in that situation. I could certainly see that being an option there.
Because he's gonna need a lot to hit a Charizard. Those Zards are at 330.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point.
So he's gonna need some manual attachments to that Zacian. Zacian is a safe pick in this matchup because it is Steel weak.
Right. It is not going to be one-hit KO'd by the Charizard EX until the Guardy player has taken 2 prize cards, although that also assumes that there hasn't been any damage counters placed onto the Zacian via the effect of Gardevoir EX. And we do see Roar of the Sword come down.
I feel like we might see a lot of Moonglow reverse this game.
I would absolutely agree with you there. I'm sure that we're going to be seeing some Cresselia usage, and what a great card in this matchup because it allows you to get rid of a couple of those one prizers off the board before they evolve into something much more difficult to deal with.
Guardy and Rare Candy in hand.
That is very true. And that research discarding the Iono, so Oscar's hand is going to be safe this turn. If Joaquim can find the, oh yep, Ultra Ball comes down, and that is probably going to be finding an Arceus V-Star, which is going to further get this game moving forward.
Didn't see what he pulled off of the research. I don't know. Did he have a Zard in hand? Because this might find the Starbirth into the Pidgeot, get set up into the Pidgeot for the rare candy to get that Zard, and just have a double stage 2 down on turn 2.
Right. That's one of the things that makes this Charizard deck so powerful, is it has so many options to find each of these individual pieces along the way between the Arceus in the early game
There's the candy.
and the Pidgeot support throughout the rest of the game. Pidgeot being able to find pieces,
Yep, there
like
it is.
rare candy, which otherwise are a little bit difficult to just draw into.
And now we'll see 3 energies hit the board.
That's right. Being able to retreat this Greninja from the active as well as fully powering up this bench Charizard. And that is going to mean this Mew is going to be very, very knocked out, as it is Dark Weak. So this Charizard is going to be swinging for 360 damage on this poor Mew. And that is going to move this prize race 1 turn forward.
I know there was a lot of doubt as we were moving into this Obsidian format about this Charizard deck, but we're seeing right here just how formidable it can be.
Absolutely. All it needs sometimes is just a little bit of help in that beginning, and all of a sudden, now I've got a 330 Charizard in my active, and this thing is not going to be easily knocked out, and it is going to do a lot of damage before it goes down.
And the worst part about it is even it taking that first one, that just makes the second one even more powerful.
Exactly. Those numbers start ramping up really, really quickly, doing 210 damage after 1 prize taken, 240 after 2, 270 after 3 prizes taken, and
that
then
300 number at 4.
Exactly. And that, of course, being able to hit 280 damage right now in this format is huge, and that number is going to stay as a very pivotal number going into this upcoming format in Obsidian Flames here as well. Oscar is choosing to get rid of that collapsed stadium, so he wants to commit keeping the Zacian on board here. I definitely like that because, as we discussed, it's not going to be one-hit KO'd here, certainly in the immediate future here, and being able to get an attack off with that.
I do see the reversal in hand.
Ooh. So another option, yep, rare candy coming down from the Gardevoir. So we've got a Shining Arcana in play. We have reversal in hand. Is there going to be a way to pivot out of this Cresselia this turn? Or is it going to have to just be a pass? That is going to be a question here. Attachment comes down onto the Zacian. He's thinking about his options here. If he's going to play the Iono, he is.
Save that reversal for later.
Absolutely. Being able to utilize that later in the game ends up being really, really huge. And even though you still need 6 energy in addition to the reversal on...
I think we'll see 2 more. He's got rare candy, he's got Ultra Ball, and 2 psychics in hand. We'll see 5 in discard.
Yeah.
Setting
Unfortunately, that Ralts that is in play came down this
up.
turn.
Oh, no way.
So he's not going to be able to use the rare candy this turn, but...
The Arcana got the doubles.
Oh, did it?
It got double on the EXs. He's got
Oh.
both in hand.
Yes.
If only he would have hit that double energy, though.
That certainly would have been very good. He would have been able to pivot out of the Cresselia and be attacking with Zacian this turn.
Would it have been enough?
It probably it would have done.
4.
It would have been really good still, because he would be able to hit in for 150, and then next turn he could have manually attached 1 more Psyche energy for the KO there on the Charizard.
Yeah.
But this time, wasn't able to hit the double energy like we saw last game, and so opting to go with the Roar of the Sword play to just make maximum utilization of all the abilities and Pokemon that he has on board.
This is a really scary position because of that Pidgeot. He's going to be able to find that bosses, put some damage on the Zacian, and he's not going to be able to load the way he wants to.
That's right. Being able to utilize that quick search ability is so incredibly powerful. We were talking about this just a little bit ago off stream, but this Pidgeot EX card has such amazing potential and very well could be a relatively format warping card in many ways. And having 280 HP itself, it is not easy just to one-hit KO for most decks these days. And
not only is it 280, its attack also can gust off those stadiums.
right, being able to get rid of Path to the Peak or any other annoying stadium like Collapse Stadium or even Temple of Sinnoh. Definitely very powerful, and of course, being a free retreater helps quite a bit too. And here comes that Zacian into play.
I do feel like going for that second Zard might have been a little bit greedy.
I think so too. I would have liked to see a boss there being able to hit into that Zacian, because now
He has
Oscar,
all that HP to work with.
right, he's got all that HP to work with. He knows he's going to be able to get a KO with this Zacian now without having to commit any damage counters. He can just take 2 turns here to be able to do that. Or potentially now, looks like he's going to maybe have enough energy here to just take a one-hit KO instead of having to take more than 1 turn. And what I especially like about this play, if he's able to get that off, is he says, fine, you can boss my Gardevoir next turn, but I'm just going to return KO with my Zacian that has all of those energy on it.
There is still a Rod in deck. I did see that when he was thumbing through earlier.
Okay.
So he does have the option to go for the second Zacian, but this is very dangerous.
Definitely has some options to work with in the hand.
Being 2 prizes behind here feels really bad for Gardevoir.
It does feel pretty bad in a lot of ways because, you know, it is just really tough because you need to most of the time have a Gardevoir EX in play.
I like that play. He went for the arc.
Oh, I see.
Take those easy 2 prizes.
Right. How many energies do you have attached there? Is that
7? No.
8?
9, 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the Zacian right now.
And it looks like we still have some cards to be drawn.
Yep.
Oh, he's going for the 3 prize turn.
That makes a lot of sense.
So now he really... That's tough. It's still a very, very difficult position because Joaquin has access to every card in his deck with that Pidgeot.
Right. And the end game is certainly on board for him already. He has 2 Charizards. There is a total of 6 prizes of, 3 2-prize Pokemon in play, all of which Charizard can very easily take care of on its own.
Now Charizard swinging for 240.
That's right.
I think Oscar's only hope here is to go for the Pidgeot. Take the Pidgeot, stop him from being able to have the answers, and then maybe get the Zacian back for that last prize on like Greninja.
Right. Iono is not going to be enough, unfortunately, in this situation. Getting that boss back. Yeah, he's going to have to hope that he can somehow take care of Joaquin's ability to get boss's orders so easily out of the deck here.
Yeah, he needs 2 bosses, back-to-back turns, to take this.
Thinning out the deck. Unfortunately, the only card that can be thinned out is...
The 1 Psychic Energy.
That's right. Thankfully, Radiant Greninja is going to be able to utilize that Psychic Energy, convert it into 2 cards, but
It's a lot to ask in 4 cards.
There's certainly a chance that boss gets whiffed here. Starting with the Shining Arcana.
I think I see the boss.
I think I see it too. Yep.
Insane.
Unfortunately, Oscar doesn't know this, but Joaquin already has boss in hand.
Oh no.
So unfortunately, even though he went to all of this effort to be able to prevent a boss's order KO here, it's not going to matter ultimately. But I really respect what Oscar is trying to pull off here. And Oscar goes down
It was
to
the
2
play,
prizes.
but now we'll see the boss, and it'll just
Boss
Yep.
ends the game. There we go. We see there Joaquin taking the victory down, and yeah, showing how dominant Charizard can really ultimately be, and being able to accelerate those energies straight from the deck, the consistency from the Pidgeot and the Arceus. Unfortunately, it just wasn't. Gardevoir EX just didn't have enough in this circumstance to be able to pull anything off, and Charizard takes the W.
Yep. I think the only way we would have seen much different of a game is if he would have went for that Pidgeot 1 turn earlier instead of the Arceus.
Right. That's a good point. Had he gone for Pidgeot, right, the turn that he went for Arceus,
He wouldn't have had access to that boss.
he wouldn't have had access to the boss after he would have been able to, play an Iono or something like that, remove those resources from his hand and put them onto the bottom of the deck. But I could see how tempting that play is to, you have the Zacian, you already have the Sky Sealstone attached to it. It feels a lot better sometimes to take 3 prizes over 2, but unfortunately that might have been a little bit of an overextension in that circumstance. But certainly a really good game there, and we'll have Joaquin back here for a winner's interview in just a little bit here. And welcome back. Here in the studio, we have Joaquin. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us after that win against the Gardevoir EX deck piloted by Oscar. How are you feeling after that win?
It was actually really good. It's my first time actually running Charizard EX. I actually built the deck 20 minutes before the actual entire event started, so I was like, it's my first time running it, hoping that I do good with it, and here we are now.
That's awesome. Yeah, and today you were on stream twice, and unfortunately that first stream game, it was so tough to watch because you could only get that Charmander in play.
No, I was like, I should hold off. I really wanted to make sure that I was able to hold on for the next couple rounds because I had the Charizard in hand, ready with the rare candy, ready with all my energies, and I was like, I couldn't do it because next thing you know, Star Requiem got me, and then I was like, and then I Sableye, I was like, might as well just like bite the bullet and just take it in.
Absolutely. And thankfully, in this last game that we just watched, you were able to get very well set up. You started the game off with the double VIP pass, and that had to have just felt amazing.
It was amazing. Not only I had 3 VIP passes in hand starting off, so I was like, this might be my game. And then I was scared because I don't really normally go up against Gardevoir decks. Gardevoir decks like intimidate me a lot. But then my brother was like, you've got this, you've got it. So I was like, I might as well, because then I remembered Gardevoir is weak against Dark, and I'm used to Gardevoir being weak against Steel type. So I was like,
Right.
I had the entire like advantage on my side, and then with all my Charizard set up, I was ready, and I was waiting for that Arceus V-Star to come up, because I was like, I'm ready for this thing to get knocked out, so I started dealing more damage and taking out that Zacian. Because as much as I wanted to, I really wanted to take out that Zacian first thing in the game, but it worked out a lot in my favor.
Right. Yeah, things ended up working out super well for you. You had felt like answers just for everything, every single turn, and of course, part of what makes that happen is being able to utilize that Pidgeot EX each turn.
That Pidgeot was insane. The greatest thing that's ever come to this format, in my opinion. Before this, I was gonna run Wings of Unity Birds.
Oh yeah.
So it was either that or run Charizard, and I'm glad I ran with Charizard because it was actually the most fun deck I've run in such a long time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it absolutely is a super fun deck, and being able to just be so oftentimes consistent and be very aggressive even in those opening turns, despite being a stage 2 deck. There is a lot of upside with the deck, which is
pretty much
a lot of fun to watch.
It's still very new, but I'm still going to be planning on working on it every once in a while. You know, I might just stop using it next week. Who knows? Because I do jump from deck to deck every once in a while, so it works out a lot.
Absolutely. Well, it's awesome that what sounds like was a little bit of a last-second decision ended up really paying out for you.
It really paid off a lot, and that one loss didn't really throw me off that much because I just knew. And my brother was like, you got to table shuffle more. You have to table shuffle. Make sure you table shuffle. Table shuffling is the biggest thing for you. And I was like, I might as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes just putting a little bit more time into shuffling and changing up that shuffling technique can make a really big difference sometimes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, do you have any goals or anything like that you're going to be working towards for this season?
This season I do turn 18 in about less than 2 months, so that's when I start hoping to go to more regionals.
Yeah.
Because I've only attended one regional, and that was last year, Milwaukee. But this year I'm hoping to actually make up the time to go to regionals and possibly go to an international, and hope to get a decent amount of points. I've been playing this game for about 10 years, but I've taken a 5-year-long break between. So I missed the entirety of the Sun and Moon era, but I came back right when Sword and Shield started taking this professionally about like a year ago. So this game means a lot to me, so I hope to get better as time goes forward.
That's awesome. Well, we wish you the absolute best of luck for this future season, and it's awesome also that you've got your brother here to be able to help play with and
pretty much
help give you some advice. I know all of us need that sometimes. So
pretty much.
Love to hear that. Best of luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you.
And for everyone who's been watching, thank you so much for tuning in. And we are going to be signing off here for the rest of the night. We hope that you enjoyed those matches that were played tonight, maybe learned something, or at least were entertained. And we'll catch you next time.
you